What are you guys doing? We have a show today.
It's Thursday. We always shoot our shows on Friday.
You're right. Let's go. Come on, go, go, go. Count, you still gotta get changed. Hurry up!
It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of NAIT NewsWatch.
We are excited to share some of our most in-depth stories we filmed throughout the semester.
What has started as an idea 10 years ago is sprouting into more than ever imagined.
That's right, the culinary department is cooking up something different on campus and is bringing them back to the roots of cooking to an on-campus garden. Our Angela Kazmierczak joins us live from NAIT's A building with more on the story.
Thanks, guys. I'm here in Courtyard 1, which is not too far from the culinary wing. And right now, the garden is covered in snow, but in the fall, this cause and the plants were very much so alive.
Good things aren't always meant to be buried in the past, but in the dirt. Growing up, Perry Machetti's family grew food in their backyard to survive. But his upbringing is now leading him to grow food again, except at a school, a polytechnic one, NAIT. It's also where he's worked the last 10 years.
Get their hands dirty and help plant, have them eat the food and eat a tomato right off the vine, fresh, and they're like, wow, I didn't realize a tomato could taste that good.
The provincial government finds that income correlates to healthy food choices, with households earning an income beyond $100,000 buying fresh veggies from the farmer's market. These days, many Canadians want to eat healthy, but whether they can afford to is another question. It's reported that overall veggie prices have increased by 12% and fruits by 13%.
We see post-secondaries across North America having students that run short of food and don't have enough money for food.
Statistics Canada says bad weather conditions are why prices are higher. But with 1 in 5 Canadians going hungry or eating less, Machetti's inspired to grow even more food for students at the courtyards, but also not your typical veggies.
Amazing. I think it's honestly locally sourced, you know where it's coming from.
As Machetti says, he wants students eating quality food, and learning about food. So far, culinary students are benefiting the most from the garden since they water, pick the veggies, and cook with them for classes at the Fresh Express and Ernest. As they're finding, some of the second-year students are discovering new things and are getting quite technical with it.
Temperatures, just like growing plant temperatures and then like storing plant temperatures.
You'll pluck the whole plant and it'll be back like in 2 weeks.
And it's a good, gardening is a fantastic escape. It's like reading a book.
But as for his dream to expand from one garden to multiple gardens comes with challenges.
Machetti and his committee plan to turn all of the courtyards on campus into a garden like this one. But in order for that to happen, they first need approval for fire exits, more student involvement, and for a student gardening club to help with maintaining the locations.
Still, for Morgan, who previously gardened at her family's home in St. Albert, she thinks a garden will benefit people financially, and then some.
Great way to like reduce waste and to just honestly have it cheaper.
The campus garden is now being used in part of NAIT's compost program.
We're going to start to see other programs wanting to be involved, alternative energy, whether it's grow lights or LED grow lights to start the season, the rain collection, go down the list, solar powered.
Angela Kazmierczak, NAIT NewsWatch, Extra.
The Alberta hardcore and punk scene has been making a lot of noise lately with heavy riffs, moshing, and stage dives.
NAIT NewsWatch Colby Ip takes us to look into the underground music scene.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at the Aviary, a venue where a majority of Edmonton's hardcore shows took place this year. I got a sneak peek into the underground music scene to see what all the noise was about.
The Alberta punk and hardcore scenes have existed since the 80s, with bands like S&FU being trendsetters. But is the scene still alive today?
Absolutely. And I think that hardcore has evolved a lot since then.
Lots of people have put a lot of work to make it as tight and, last as long as it sort of has.
One of the main things keeping the scene alive to this day are new bands. New bands helped bring in new fans and concert goers. New bands like Calder 40 Hands.
Everybody that comes has an open mind for all the bands, and they're just ready to come give a show or come see a show, and they just want to get down, throw down, and that's just the whole thing of it. It's like very united, very tight. Everybody supports everybody, so that's
But the real lifeblood of the scene are the promoters, keeping the scene alive by booking bands and planning events.
I think we started booking shows more consistently because there's more of a demand now, which is great. Before, I think we were just testing the waters to see if people would come back to hardcore shows like they used to 3-4 years ago before COVID. And I think people just got really stoked that we were doing it, so we just started doing it more.
For a lot of people in Edmonton, hardcore shows act as almost a form of therapy and a way to relax and let loose with some friends.
Yeah, I just love the scene and hanging out and that familiarity of it all.
It's just a place to go to have fun. It's, just see some awesome rock and roll music and just get down with your friends.
Live music just has a completely different vibe than the recording, and it's such a different energy to be in the room with the musicians so close.
Shows like this happen almost every weekend here in Edmonton. But the question is, what about the rest of Alberta?
For me, it's like the sense of community and like everyone works together to keep things happening, to keep shows happening, to keep bands starting. Like without all the people in it, there wouldn't be anything.
It's a pretty tight community. It's on the come up right now because COVID happened, obviously, and like everybody's just kind of coming back out of the shadows, kind of thing.
It absolutely needs to keep going, and I think hardcore in 2022 is definitely on an up.
People on the surface level, they see aggressive music, they expect aggressive lyrics about, whatever, but they don't really understand that a lot of the times the lyrics are like they come from a super like genuine, heartfelt place.
Colby Ip, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Have you ever wanted a safe place to play hockey?
The Edmonton Rage is an Alberta LGBTQ hockey team that plays in this Capital City Rec Hockey League, where everyone is welcome to play and have a great time. I had the chance to go down to the Recreation Center to interview and shoot the Edmonton Rage playing on the ice.
The Edmonton Rage was formed in July 2019. The purpose of having the LGBTQ+ hockey team is to provide a safe, inclusive space for LGBTQ+ athletes and allies.
It's really important because a lot of people, they won't get into hockey or any other sport if they feel they're going to have to put up with all the homophobia in the locker room, all the homophobic talk in the locker room.
The National Hockey League has focused on creating a welcoming environment for all players and fans, but still there has been incidents of homophobia in the locker rooms and on the ice.
I chose the Edmonton Rage because I loved playing hockey growing up. It was one of the things that kind of made me the person I am. If I didn't play hockey, I probably wouldn't have very much social aspects in life and being able to communicate with people in an effective way. So part of me really missed that, and I wanted to get back into it. And ever since I saw that the Rage was a thing and being gay, I wanted to be able to join that team and play the sport that I love without being discriminated or worried about if someone would say something that would offend me in a particular sense.
They played in the Capital City Rec Hockey League, choosing the league due to in-depth policies and terms of respect for their sport.
Just kind of in the name, it's inclusive. Like, it allows anyone to feel comfortable playing the sport. It doesn't matter what your outlook on life is or who you want to pick as your partner. It's about the sport itself and having fun and making friends. And there's no judgment, and it's just it's like making friends with like 40 people that you didn't know before.
The teams hope to continue their efforts by attracting an even greater diversity of athletes. The Edmonton Ridge hockey team has players from all around Alberta, including Kurt. Kurt is from Drumheller. He's also in construction for work, and he also comes to each game to play, coming down 4 hours to each way and going right back up to Drumheller after each game.
Guys on the team, a lot of fun to come up and play. It's really just a positive community, you know. Like, it's positive players, everybody's here to have fun, nobody's angry, and you don't find that with many men's leagues. You always have some drunk guy screaming.
The Edmonton Rage are trailblazers that make hockey more inclusive for all backgrounds, all gender, and all religions can play the game that we all love. Ryan Browning, NAIT NewsWatch, Extra.
Our Edmonton Oilers had themselves a season to remember last season. A second-place finish in the Pacific Division. Connor McDavid scored an overtime series-clinching goal against the Calgary Flames to secure the Oilers' first Western Conference Finals appearance since 2006. But what made this season rather special and not only affected the entire city of Edmonton, but the entire hockey community was the story of a brave little boy who had a passion for the Oilers like none other. I had the opportunity to tell the story of Ben Stelter's time with the Edmonton Oilers during the 2021-22 season.
Ben Stelter, an Oilers superfan, an inspiration, a role model. Ben passed away at the age of 6 on August 9th, 2022, after his battle with cancer. Ben and his legacy will be remembered as we tell a story about the memories Ben shared with us and his time with the Edmonton Oilers last season.
For every playoff game here at Rogers Place during the 2022 Stanley Cup playoff run, a little part of the intro is Ben saying, and the crowd erupts every single time. That alone is indicative of how much he means to this city and to this franchise. Connor McDavid, there's one person in this world that has distracted him in warm-up, in my time of watching the Oilers, and that's Ben. And he waves at him, he always makes sure he gives him a fist bump through the glass.
Every person within the organization, as well as our city, felt connected to Ben. His bravery and the love he shared with us was able to affect us all on a personal level.
Just to see him every day with a big smile on his face, the way he made me feel, made me want to be a better person, because if he's going through all of that and he's still going out of his way to make everyone else's day that much better, what more can you ask for? He's a special kid. He has a special heart, a beautiful soul, and one that will last forever here in Edmonton.
It's a new season for the Orange and Blue, with the city and our fans gearing up for a new beginning. For the Stetler family, they will be treated to the delighted memories of Ben's part in our playoff run last year. One that will be remembered forever.
Look at that. We're all cheering for you.
They just really took an interest into Ben. Zach Hyman's a big one. Obviously, Connor McDavid, Leon. People like Evander Kane too. Ben turned into an even bigger Oilers fan than I did. Well, it even started just when he was 1. He opened his first McDavid jersey for Christmas, and he was pumped. He already liked the team anyways.
That love for the Oilers transitioned into adding fuel to the reputable Battle of Alberta, which also raised the eyebrows of a Flames forward last season.
Biggest fan of me, I could tell by the video of you shooting a Nerf gun at me, but everyone here in Calgary is cheering you on, and we're all big fans of you.
Kachuk sent him that video just saying that the Flames were rooting for Ben, and Ben was, they're cheering for Ben. And Ben watched the video, and everybody was so happy and sort of turned their feelings with Kachuk a little bit, but not Ben. Where at the end of the video, Ben goes, "Kachuk, woof." And he was mad that Kachuk sent him the video, so it was pretty funny. Thank you to everybody. The whole Oilers organization, the hockey world, all the fans in Edmonton, the people at Phil Rogers Place. It was huge. Just the cheers they would get for Ben, even in the playoff video, when he would say, "Play La Bamba, baby," it would send shivers down your spine. The same when everybody was chanting Ben, where it was such an emotional night already. We were having a hard time holding it together during the video, and then that was just sort of like open the floodgates at the end when everybody was chanting his name. It was really overwhelming. So we have nothing but gratitude for the whole city and everybody, just the way they embraced Ben and our family. It's been really special.
We thank you, Ben. We thank you for the memories and for being the Oilers' good luck charm. And thank you to the Stelter family for sharing Ben's kind heart to the world over the past year. Ben and his spirit will always remain a part of our city and oil country. I'm Gavin Turnick, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Wow, Gavin, what a heartfelt story. It really highlighted Ben's importance to the city.
Yeah, for sure. Coming up after the break, we look into some spooky sites you can find around the city and talk more in depth on mental health from a special guest. Stay with us.
Increasing concerns for global warming is leading some people to adapt a more plant-based diet. But in the eyes of food experts, what does the most sustainable diet look like? And is it veganism? Me personally, my diet isn't answering any questions, so I had a chance to do some extra research and try to find a definitive answer to the most sustainable diet.
When it comes to finding the most sustainable diet, our first stop has to be veganism, which, if you didn't know, is a diet comprised strictly without animal products. Bailey Melnick is a vegan herself for almost 10 years. She says that veganism has made steady improvements.
I mean, since 10 years ago, we've come like leaps and bounds with the whole plant-based movement and decreasing animal consumption and just things like that. And I know it's going to be years and years, and I don't know if we'll ever get rid of animal consumption. I think people are always going to consume animals. It's been from the beginning of time, and I think it will always be that way, unfortunately. But we're getting better. So, I mean, just little steps at a time.
Melnick also highlighted some diets that are the opposite of sustainable.
What keto diets are designed to do is you eat protein, fat, no fruits, low fruits. And people that do these diets have such high cholesterol, they don't have proper bowel functions. They feel sicker. Like, sure, it takes off the weight, but not in a healthy manner.
Maynard Kolskog, a research chef for NAIT, says there are pros and cons to any side you take.
You know, you see protein's good for us, but in some cases, it's not as digestible, bioavailable as animal proteins are. So there's a lot of arguments, you know, to go along with a sustainable plant-based diet that people automatically think it's good for them, it's good for the planet. There's arguments both ways, as with most things in life, right?
Roshni Gill, a dietitian in Edmonton, informs that people looking for a sustainable diet have to be willing to do some research.
And so what I like to think about is creating a toolkit for a conscious consumer. So as our environmental systems continue to change, I really encourage individuals to be equipped with those tools to see how is our food really being made. So part of that is looking at, you know, when we look at food, looking from farm to table and sort of what process that food has gone through. So is it locally grown? Are you getting it from a market vendor? Like those sorts of things can be a good start. And so like if we think about growing local, Alberta is one of the greatest producers of pulses in the world. So if we look at beans, peas, lentils, those are all really great sources of plant-based proteins. So when we're eating for both the planet and our health, we want to think about like plant-based proteins could be a good thing to consider. But at the same time, any food that we take, we want to be mindful of where it's coming from.
Gill says that consumers can reduce global emissions by purchasing fruits and vegetables that are in season. This has been Callan Dunlop with NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
You know, Ryan, I'm really starting to miss the Halloween season and all the spooky places to visit.
Same, Gavin. I've always wanted to have the chance to explore a haunted house myself and maybe discover something not from this world. Our Ty Roswell joins us from the world of the living.
In the heart of Stony Plain, Alberta lies a plot of land occupied by its past, a heritage center and a house still frozen in limbo. But the artifacts found in these buildings are not the only things still lingering. The Multicultural Heritage Center and Operthauser House are considered by paranormal experts to be one of the most haunted places in Alberta.
It's a very old place. The red brick building was a school built in 1925. And then later on they moved a really beautiful old house over next door to the Multicultural Center.
Both buildings have been subject to stakeouts by the Alberta Paranormal Investigation Society and have had a novel written recounting staff and visitors' experiences. But it's the little white house across the lawn really turning heads.
So the house was built in 1910 by Henry Operthauser Sr. Kathy, one of the grandchildren, she lived in the house until about 1972, I believe. And she rented out the house from 1972 to 1984 as like a boarding house. So we've had a lot of people come and go since then. But we have had a few deaths. We had one of the Operthauser children, like sons, die in that closet right there. One of the tenants, when it was rented out as a boarding house, she passed away in the bathtub that would have been up here.
So every room has different sightings. Like in the living room, lots of people have felt like emotional or like upset. A house was used for like everything, a funeral, wedding. So lots of different emotions. Lots of sightings or like feelings have been a lot by like the stairs right there. You'll hear someone running down the stairs. We decided to hang out in here and have a tea party, and we didn't have our phones on us. We left them over at the Perk building, and all of a sudden we heard like 2 old rings. It was we're guessing it's from the phone at the front door.
We have like lots of experiences with children ghosts, and as far as I know, no children have died in this house. I've experienced lots of things in this room. When I was downstairs, I would hear the child's piano that's right here just play like a singular note from the living room.
One of the things in that settler's cabin is a rocking chair, a doll's rocking chair. She turned around. She noticed that the rocking chair was rocking, and she hadn't been anywhere near it.
This stroller that's in this room has I've walked into the room, everything's been in its place, and I've walked into the bathroom, and the stroller has made its way across the room.
It's clear that these buildings have many secrets in their walls. And you can discover these secrets for yourself through ghost tours, available October 14th and 28th. Ty Roswell, NewsWatch Extra.
A former NAIT graduate is making waves in public speaking with a powerful story to tell.
Tyler Smith is a survivor of the Humble bus crash who is sharing his road to recovery with people who may be going through their own journey. Our Noah Rashog has more.
Thanks, guys. The Humboldt bus crash was one of the worst tragedies to befall our nation in recent history. Many lives were lost, many lives were destroyed, and many hearts were broken. Tyler Smith was on the bus that day, and he survived. And he's since taken his experience going through something so traumatic to use that to help others going through something similar. "4 years ago, the country was rocked by the news of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, a tragedy that took 16 lives and forever changed those who survived. Tyler Smith was there that fateful day, and since then, he's dedicated his life to being there for others."
The public speaking aspect, I mean, I did my first speech and I think I just kind of fell in love with it after and understood that everyone's got a story, and I think there's a lot of power in sharing a story. So if I can, help make an impact in even one individual's life in the audience, then perfect.
After the crash, Tyler was inspired by the media that he had worked with so closely, and it wasn't long before he enrolled in radio television at NAIT, where he then discovered a confidence in speaking publicly. With a powerful story to tell, Tyler's decision to go into public speaking and advocacy was a natural one.
You're allowed to have off days. These past couple of years have been difficult for a lot of people. And I think being able to find what works for you is so important.
Tyler has left an impact on many people in his life, whether it be through his speaking or through his business.
He's genuine still. He pops in, talks to everyone, always. Just a super kind, easygoing person. Still easy to get along with. Honestly, yeah, it's very easy to work with him. Truly, I couldn't ask for a better person to do this with, truly.
Beyond the stage, Tyler also speaks his mind on his podcast.
My question is more centered around the mental aspect.
We get to have some pretty neat guests on, people that I didn't really anticipate talking to about mental health and vulnerability and everything like that.
Although Tyler has found his passion in talking about his experiences in public speaking, he also wears his heart on his hat, his chest, and his sleeves. In the heart of Leduc, Alice Embroidery creates Tyler's brand, Not Alone. Not Alone is Tyler's answer to those who feel hopeless and without support. He hopes they may see someone wearing a Not Alone sweatshirt, potentially finding an ally in them. He chose the phrase Not Alone because of how core it is to his message.
Your story matters, as small, as minor, as major as it may be. Your story does matter, and those conversations you have, make them memorable. Make sure your vulnerability shines through, and just remember that there truly is no right or wrong way to do it, but you need to take the necessary steps in order to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, because you truly are never alone.
I'm Noah Rashog, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Thanks for joining us on our very last episode of the season. And on behalf of the whole NewsWatch team, we wish you a happy and safe holiday season.
Hope you all guys have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Have a great night, everybody.